Welcome into OutKick the show. Happy Halloween. We got a lot to discuss. I'm going to get to prize picks in a moment. I'm going to give you my picks for tonight's game between the Texans and the Jets. I hope all of you are having a great Halloween. I'm not going to name them, but I have a bunch of friends that are men, heterosexual men, and they are voting for Kamala Harris. And one of those friends, I bet $5,000 that Trump was going to win Pennsylvania comfortably. And a poll just came out. I'm laughing at it as we start the show. Poll just came out from Echelon Insights showing Trump up 6 over Kamala in Pennsylvania. Look, whoever wins Pennsylvania is almost certainly going to win the 2024 presidential election. This is ranked as one of the most reliable pollsters out there, Echelon Insights. Again, I like the actual raw numbers, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later because I like to dive into the data. But it has Trump up 6. I sent it to my buddy that I've got the $5,000 Pennsylvania bet with, and he responded, "I've already seen that one," and cried under my desk for 10 minutes. Then he says, and again, I might have to ask out of the bet because I couldn't possibly explain to my wife having to pay you $5,000 over what happens in Pennsylvania. So, look, I'll talk about money. Obviously, I'm in a fortunate place where the money doesn't really matter that much to me. But I did laugh about that as we started the show there. Look, prize picks, best way. Speaking of money, he's nervous. He's nervous 5 days out. Prize picks, best way to win real money this football season. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money all season long with prize picks. You can win up to 100 times your money on prize picks, little as 4 correct picks. When you sign up right now, you can use code OutKick, get $50 instantly when you play, $5. Don't even have to win to get the $50. Code OutKick. Here is my pick for tonight. All right, code OutKick. This pays out at 10-1. We've hit on 2 of these so far. Thursday night football, C.J. Stroud, less than 225.5 passing yards. Aaron Rodgers, less than 236.5 passing yards. Joe Mixon, less than 86.5 rushing yards. Those are 3 less than. 1 more than. Davante Adams, more than 59.5 passing yards. And those are my prize picks. Prize picks, run your game. Again, that pays out at 10-1. Less on Stroud, Rodgers passing yards, less on Joe Mixon rushing yards, and more on Davante Adams receiving yards. That is my prize picks pick of the day. All right. Latest on the election. As we are, oh, by the way, I'll talk Texans Jets a little bit more. We are going to do the fade with Kelly Stewart. We will finish that about 30 minutes. As soon as I finish this show, we're going to tape that one, and then they'll flip it and hopefully get it up pretty quick. I'm going to be out Halloween trick-or-treating, scheduled to be on with Jesse Waters, but we'll start trick-or-treating soon. Won't be able to watch that game. I want to have a couple of fun things right off the top on Halloween. I gave you my, as always, very humble opinion on the 4 best Halloween candies. That is, if you are out and you are a kid and you are trick-or-treating, or if you are one of the Travis boys and you have been trick-or-treating at any point in the last 16 or so years, as my boys have been growing up, these are the candies that Dad would sometimes teach the purpose and idea of taxation. I have taught my boys early on that taxes are awful by occasionally implementing the dad tax. The dad tax goes like this. You go out trick-or-treating all night. You have a big, huge collection of candy that is all yours. You put in the work. You collected it. You have brought it home. You have carried it all night. The dad tax just shows up and decides that every now and then Dad may want some of that candy and just take it from you. That is the dad tax. That is why taxation is not ideal. But What are the dad? This is actually funny. My boys are so counter to the dad tax. They're basically Halloween candy accountants. They know what candy I'm going to take. And so if they go up on a porch now and they have the option to pick candy of their choice, they will purposely avoid picking oftentimes candies that they know dad is going to come take, which is a counter to the dad tax. They can find candies that I don't like as much. Here is my power four. My power four in order, those of you who remember, in fact, I'm going on a little bit in a little bit with Fox Sports Radio. Those of you who were OutKick the Coverage listeners know that I like to do a Halloween candy draft every year on Halloween. We would open up phone lines. We would treat it like the NFL draft. Callers would call in. You would have to make a selection of your favorite Halloween candy draft. This, in my opinion, is the unquestioned top four Halloween candies in America. Number one overall, the GOAT, the undisputed champion, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. The Reese's Peanut Butter Cup is the greatest Halloween candy out there. If you could only eat one Halloween candy, I defy you to do anything other than the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Not Reese's Pieces, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, either the minis, like the size of a quarter probably, or the cup, which is the more traditional size cup. Second place, my personal favorite, peanut M&Ms. Not the traditional M&M. That is a pale imitation. The peanut M&M, the yellow package, not the brown package, is, in my opinion, the number one candy in America. This is me personally. My rankings take into account other people. I understand a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup has to be the number one. It's the GOAT. Number two, peanut M&Ms. It's impossible to stop eating peanut M&Ms like it is impossible to stop eating Doritos Cool Ranch. Good luck. Or cheddar and sour cream potato chips. Two of the greatest potato chips to ever exist. You could mix them, by the way. One of my favorite treats back when I was young and I could eat anything before I got to be a fat old guy, cheddar and sour cream chips and peanut M&Ms. You combine those two, it's heaven. Mountain Dew. This was my staple when I would go into like a gas station. If I could buy three things in the gas station, I would get a Mountain Dew, not the freaking Diet Mountain Dew, Mountain Dew, cheddar and sour cream potato chips, and peanut M&Ms. That probably is the greatest, I think, purchase that you could make in a gas station back in the day when you could eat anything and you didn't have to worry about getting super fat like I do now. Kit Kats, number 3 overall. Power rankings, number 3 overall, the Kit Kat. Great. I love the Kit Kat king size. I like the fact that as part of the dad tax, you can even sweep in while your kids are eating and just break off one of the quad there on the Kit Kat. I love everything about the Kit Kat. Number 3 overall, power rankings, Halloween. 4th place, Snickers. It's the old tried and true. It's fantastic. Those are the 4 best of the Halloween candies. Now, nerds, I like nerds. Tommy Laren hopped in the comments, and she said, don't underrate nerds. I do like nerds. I also really like Twix. And I can't eat that many of them, but I'm not opposed to Starburst and also Skittles. But you can't eat, you have to be just a crazy person to eat a whole package of Starburst or to eat a whole package of Skittles. I don't know how you can just keep eating them. They're good at 1 or 2. I'm telling you, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, boom. Peanut M&Ms, Kit Kats, and Snickers, best out there. I even like the smaller size Snickers, like the bite size, more than I like the full Snickers candy bar. There you go. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's the top 4. Now, also fun. I asked you, 1980s horror movies. I got to give first off a nod. Scream holds up. Scream 1, Scream 2, I watched them with my kids my 10-year-old, when he went off to school today, wife was saying, hey, what do you want to do when you get home? He said, I want to watch Scream 3 before I go out to trick-or-treat. I think we're going to go out trick-or-treating around 5:30 or 6. He said, I'm all in for Scream 3. Proud moment of daddom. Scream 1 and Scream 2, they hold up really well. I just watched them again recently with my kids. They were made in the late 90s, greatest decade to ever exist in the history of the world. But they still hold up. They're still really, really good. And I asked you, though, 1980s Halloween villains in horror movies. Freddy Krueger, Jason from Friday the 13th, Michael Myers, or Chucky. Which one is the best 1980s horror movie villain? I watched all these movies when I was a kid growing up. There's probably a good chance that you did. I personally, my answer is Freddy Krueger. I think Nightmare on Elm Street, because it was in your dreams, good luck going to sleep when you were a kid after you watched Nightmare on Elm Street. I loved Freddy Krueger. I never understood why they didn't move off of Elm Street. Just an idea. If my kids came to me and a bunch of other kids were dying and they said, hey, there's a crazy horror villain who stalks our dreams and a lot of people are dying on Elm Street, I think I would have moved off Elm Street. Seems like it would have solved a lot of the issues. I don't know why you had to stay on Elm Street. Similarly, Hawkins, Indiana, if my kids came to me and they said, hey, there's this portal to the upside down and kids are getting dragged in there and everybody's dying and there's these awful or horrific terror, what would you call it, monsters that are now unveiling themselves in Hawkins, Indiana, I think I probably would have said, yeah, I don't think I have to stay in Hawkins, Indiana anymore. I think I would have moved. If the Satan was about to take over the town, I think I would just go to a new town. But I would have left Elm Street. I would have left Hawkins. My kids would have been fine. Freddy Krueger's my pick. You guys, with about 10,000 votes in, pick Michael Myers. I do acknowledge that Michael Myers is very scary. Also, we talked about this a little bit on Clay and Buck. My pick for the scariest movie franchise, not individual movie franchise. I love these Conjuring movies. They're terrifying. I like a good scary movie. I think I was flying to London or to France, or I was coming back or going to Europe on a family vacation. And the Wi-Fi wasn't working on the plane, and it was like, hey, I can't do anything other than watch the movies in front of me. And they had all the Conjurings, and it was like a 10-hour flight. I watched 3 or 4 straight Conjuring movies. I was terrified on an airplane that I was going to get killed. I like scary, like satanic possession style movies that the idea of like a psycho killer running around is not as scary to me because I kind of understand that could happen. The idea of like possession, the idea of true evil, like satanic level evil, is what is particularly scary to me. And so the Conjuring movies, I think they're really well made. I think they are the scariest series of movies that are out there, and also that are well made. So there we have 1980s horror movies, best current horror movie cycle, The Conjuring, Halloween candy in general. Okay. Trump yesterday in the garbage outfit is legitimately one of the funniest things that I have seen. And his explanation of why he got into the garbage outfit is why Trump is a uniquely difficult to overcome figure in the universe out there of American politics. I just mentioned that a new poll has him up 6 in Pennsylvania. I want all of you out there to vote. But tell me that this guy's not having an incredible time. He worked as a McDonald's fry cook and did an interview with the press from the drive-through window. He climbed up into a garbage truck and did an interview from the garbage truck, and then did his entire speech in Green Bay, Wisconsin, alongside of Brett Favre, wearing the safety vest that a garbage man would wear. And he said he kept it on because they convinced him that he looked slimmer in it. I mean, come on. The guy is objectively hysterical. This also directly attacks the closing argument of Kamala Harris that he's Hitler. I have long believed, and I've argued this for a long time, people with really good senses of humor cannot be evil. Doesn't mean they can't be bad dudes. Doesn't mean they can't make poor choices. But you can't be evil, and you certainly can't be a totalitarian dictator and have a good sense of humor, because humor requires nuance, and it's the opposite of absolutism. Propaganda is not humor. What we have seen from many different leftist outlets is propaganda against Trump. And the reason why it's not registering, and why I think Trump is going to win in 5 days, and I think he's going to win the popular vote outright, the reason why it doesn't register is because regular people are seeing Trump at McDonald's, and they're seeing him in a safety vest and in a garbage truck, and they're seeing him at the Al Smith dinner doing a roast and having fun in the Madison Square Garden venue rally as well. They're seeing all these things happen, and Trump is the more joyful candidate. He is the candidate who has the right solutions, I believe, on the economy, border, crime. But he's also having those conversations in a fun way, sitting down talking to Joe Rogan for 3 hours. He's doing an interview with me in the Georgia-Alabama game in a suite. And I'm telling you, I think all of this is registering in a big way, and a lot of people are breaking in his direction. I think Trump's going to win the race. You look at the numbers out there, I think he's going to win North Carolina. I think he is going to win Georgia, Arizona, and I think there's a really good chance he's going to win Nevada. If he wins all of those states, even if he can still win just North Carolina, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, basically all he's going to need is one of the 3 Big Ten states. He's going to need Pennsylvania, he's going to need Ohio, and/or he's going to need Michigan. I think there's actually a really good chance he's going to win all 3. But I believe he's going to win Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina. And if that happens, the math is done. He's going to win this election. And one reason he's going to win this election, in Pennsylvania in particular, is because there's not going to be anywhere near the same turnout from Democrats. They're going to be around 700,000 absentee ballot and mail-in ballot votes behind the numbers that they posted in 2020. They only won Pennsylvania by 80,000 votes. The Democrat argument is, all of those people are going to show up and they're going to vote on Election Day. The reason why they're not voting via mail or absentee ballot is because COVID's over and they don't need to do that anymore. I just don't buy that argument. I think it's a function of a lower amount of excitement among Kamala voters. I also think they've made it more difficult to cheat, that is, to wrangle all of the ballots together, sort of ballot harvesting style. And I don't think 700,000 Democrats who otherwise voted via absentee and mail are going to show up in person on Election Day, which is what Democrats are going to need. In fact, I think Republicans are going to win, as they traditionally do, the Election Day turnout battle. And if Trump is up in Arizona in early voting, and he is, and if Trump is up in Nevada in early voting, and he is, and if Trump is up in early voting in North Carolina, and he is, I think all 3 of those states are going to create a larger margin for Trump come 5 days than they have now. But again, everybody needs to get out and vote. Couple of other things that are out there. These are fun. Well, this is not fun. First of all, Mark Cuban said that Trump is not surrounded by strong and intelligent women. This is a direct attack. They've said that Trump supporters are Nazis. Trump supporters are fascist. Joe Biden said Trump supporters are garbage. Now Mark Cuban specifically is saying that women who support Trump are weak and dumb. He said they're not strong and not intelligent. That means that they are weak and dumb. And this video is for Mark Cuban directly, and I bet he will end up seeing this. This is a lie. First of all, there's tons of strong, intelligent women who are voting for Trump. There's also tons of strong, intelligent women who are voting for Kamala. I don't base my opinion of your intelligence or your mental fortitude based entirely on how you vote for president, right? I think you should vote for Trump, but there's plenty of strong and intelligent men and women who are going to vote for Kamala. I wish they weren't, but they are. It's not going to change my impressions of them, particularly if they're my friends. I was just talking about texting with one of my buddies who I've got a bet on for Pennsylvania and how he's a little bit panicked over this. But Mark Cuban sold his Dallas Mavericks franchise to Miriam Adelson, who is the widow of Sheldon Adelson and her family. They bought the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban's Adelson family that he sold to, Miriam Adelson is going to be one of the largest donors to the Donald Trump campaign. She has spent lots of time around Donald Trump. She is strong and intelligent, and I would argue brave. Mark Cuban knows that. So does he believe that Miriam Adelson, the woman he sold the Dallas Mavericks to, is weak and dumb? Mark Cuban, I used to have a great deal of respect for. I loved the way he ran his franchise in the early days after he bought it. I even looked to him and said, you know what, if I had been a billionaire and I bought a franchise, I think he would be a fun owner to emulate in many ways. I like the fact that he was disruptive. I like the fact that he approached things from a fan perspective, that he sat courtside. He wasn't up in a suite trying to hide from everybody. I like the fact that he was approachable, that he was willing to change ideas. I rooted for the Dallas Mavericks to beat the Miami Heat and win that title in 2016. I was very excited to see it happen. I liked Dirk Nowitzki. I liked when they had Steve Nash. I like Luka. They've had a lot of players that I think are very entertaining in the world of basketball. But, man, he's become a shell of himself. And to be running around trying to argue in favor of Kamala Harris, frankly, is embarrassing, I believe, for Mark Cuban. But to say that Trump isn't surrounded by strong, intelligent women, I think is an insult. First of all, Trump's going to win roughly, nearly half of women, right? He's going to win 45% probably of women, worst of all. A ton of women, tens of millions of women are voting Trump. To say that they're weak and dumb for doing so is, I think, beyond the pale. And I think it's important to think about what the closing arguments actually are. For Trump, it's, hey, I'm going to make the economy better, and I'm going to protect you, and I'm going to keep you out of war. Whether you're white, black, Asian, or Hispanic, male or female, gay or straight, I want your support. For Kamala, it's, if you're voting for Trump, you are a Nazi. If you are a woman voting for Trump, you are weak and dumb. And if you are a Trump voter, you are garbage. That's their closing argument. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's turning off a lot of independent voters, and I believe Trump is going to win big on Tuesday. Two additional thoughts. Brian Stelter actually had a tweet that I thought was very interesting, and it had to do with an anonymous TV exec that he said sent him a message. And I do believe this is going to end up being one of the legacies of the 2024 election. And I think that this executive is right. Anonymous TV executive. If half the country has decided that Trump is qualified to be president, that means they're not reading any of this media, and we've lost the audience completely. A Trump victory means mainstream media is dead in its current form. Brian Stelter said, and I agree with him here, this is already true whether Trump loses with 46% of the vote or wins with 49% of the vote. I think that's right. The mainstream media doesn't really exist anymore. OutKick is going to post an unbelievable audience in October. We are now, believe it or not, one of the biggest websites out there in news, sports, pop culture, media, however you want to classify it, in the country. That's an objective reality. In fact, in August, I think we were ranked as a website on the right, which I would even question whether that's true. I think we're just centrist, mainstream, serving 75 or 80% of normal people. If you're not skewed left, I think you're considered right. Only Fox News was bigger than us. Only FoxNews.com was bigger than us in, according to the data in August. In October, our numbers are going to be even more massive. We're closing out the month right now, hugely monstrous, whether it's Tommy Lahren, Dan Dakich, Withrow, Hutton, Ricky Cobb, the number of shows, I'm not trying to leave anybody out, Charlie Arnault, the number of shows and the audience for the OutKick shows is through the roof. Our social media audience is just become massive. I mean, basically every day now, whether you love or hate us, millions and millions of people are consuming our content on social media and on the web. Certainly millions and millions of people are listening to me on Clay and Buck and with this program that gets clipped and shared all over the internet. I can't even keep up with all of it. But Stelter's right. And I think what you're seeing is Jeff Bezos acknowledged it with the way that he's changing the direction of the Washington Post, which I think is for the correct vision. Certainly, I think Mark Zuckerberg has realized it in some sense with Facebook. And Elon, more than anybody, with his purchase of Twitter that he's renamed X, has certainly acknowledged and recognized that reality. So I think it's a big deal. Finally, you never know what's going to happen when you're married to me in many ways. Last night I went to a charity event for the Waltrip Foundation. Darrell Waltrip, Michael Waltrip, NASCAR drivers. They do fabulous work. Big charity auction event, raising as much money as they can. And I was at that last night with my friend Jacob Ullman, who awesome Fox Sports exec who brought me in about, God, getting old now, like 13, 12, whatever years ago it was, to start working at Fox Sports. There was and is, they auctioned off a grizzly bear hunt, I believe, in Manitoba, Canada. And I am sitting at the table there, and the grizzly bear hunt auction begins. No one is bidding to start. And so I raise my hand and I bid. I am now going to go on a bear hunt in Manitoba, Canada. And I buy it for charity. Like, oh, wow, this is really going to happen. I've thought about wanting to do a bear hunt before, even though I'm not really a hunter. So I'm now signed up for a bear hunt. This is a big jump. It's like Buck. I was talking to Buck, and he was like, you went from, like, not buying a gun to buying, like, a F-16, you know. So I'm going on a bear hunt. I text my wife last night, late. She's already in bed. She wasn't able to go. She's been sick, a little bit under the weather. Said, I just want you to know I bought a bear hunt, and we're going to Manitoba, Canada, and we are going to go and try to kill a bear. The bear may kill me. It may be like the Revenant before all is said and done. But I am going on a bear hunt. Tomorrow, I am headed to State College, PA. I am going to be at the Ohio State-Penn State game on Saturday. I will fly into State College, PA tomorrow. And I am going to spend the morning tailgating before the game starts at noon Eastern. Also pregame show, big noon, on Fox. The game itself will be on Fox, Penn State against Ohio State. I am going to be with Dave McCormick, who I believe should be the next senator from the great state of Pennsylvania. He and I will be tailgating. I will share information about where we will be. Looking forward to running around, meeting a lot of Ohio State and Penn State fans. I will be in State College, PA tomorrow, right in advance of the election. Flying in tomorrow, flying out Saturday to head back home to my home state of Tennessee and get ready for what should be a lot of fun. Election night. Some of you have been saying, hey, what are you guys doing on election night? I will be live with Tommy Lahren, Morgan Ortagus, and Pete Hegseth. We are going to be at the Kid Rock Bar on Broadway. Yes, it may well get crazy. We will be broadcasting live on Fox Nation and with OutKick on election night from Broadway in Nashville, Kid Rock's Place. Going to be some great guests. Should be a lot of fun. Just put that on your calendar if you're wanting to have a second screen experience to hang out with us. That is where I will be. I'll also be doing media everywhere, basically getting ready for this. Just so you know, again, that is on election night, which is just 5 days from now. Get your votes in. Now it's time. I'm going to record it. It'll be up soon for Kelly Stewart and I to discuss the betting weekend for both the NFL and for college football. I'm on the Texans and the under tonight, Thursday Night Football. Good luck trick-or-treating. Dad or mom tax, good way to learn and teach your kids about taxation. I will be back with you guys on Monday on the eve of the election. I hope to see a bunch of you at Ohio State, Penn State tomorrow or Saturday. See y'all.